All right, hello and welcome to another episode of Video Games to the Max. Here with me is a big group of people here as we're doing a pretty cool topic of our best games of 2021 so far. But before we, introduce everyone, should mention that this is, of course, the official video games podcast at VG2M.com and partial but last word on gaming. I'm your host, Sean Garmer. Here with me, as always, Mr. Mark Morrison. I don't. Mark must be indisposed at the moment. Randy Isbell is here,
I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
and Jens Dietrich also here.
Hello.
So the Chapter Select crew here again, and joining us the first time ever. Awesome to have him here, Jakejames. Lugo, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Today is my birthday. Officially, as of 34 minutes ago, I turned my birthday, so
Happy
I'm
birthday.
feeling pretty
So
good.
how old are you now?
Congratulations.
I hit those. Thank you. I hit those lucky threes. I'm 33 this year so far.
All right,
So
okay.
lucky threes for me. So I'm feeling pretty good.
Well, happy birthday, and hopefully, you get to celebrate it this year.
Yeah, right. In some fashion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so this has been a weird week. The post E3 has hit, but sometimes you wouldn't notice with all the Xbox Game Pass is apparently on Twitter all day, every day, constantly. It's like,
If this is what we're talking about, I'm out of here.
then,
Yeah, we got to talk
don't
about
you know?
Xbox.
Don't you know that you can get that for $9.99 right now?
You
God,
want
it's
that
almost as
90
bad as
minutes?
the
I'll get that
WWE
$1
network
for 3
right now.
months. There you go.
I know they might as well have just like made a meme with the WWE Network thing when that was going on. That's really what this game vibes up to, exactly, of that happening. I mean, what did you think of this, Jake? Of this, and it felt like somebody just did it once, and then it just became this entire thing for
I
the
don't
entire
know.
day.
Like, I saw a bunch of people do. I thought it was
Yeah.
a thing because I originally thought it was a joke, but then it became a thing that was a joke that became a thing that just kept going. Like it was like one of those things like you just roll something downhill and just keeps going and just going and it gets bigger and it keeps going. Like that's just how it was. And I saw people I wouldn't expect to start doing this thing because they might have thought it was a thing at some point, so they wanted in on that thing. It was just weird. Overall, it was stupid and weird. That's the best way to describe it.
And then, of course, Microsoft, being smart, got in on it too.
So somebody needs to pay their social media manager a lot more because they are just on point with so many things.
Yeah. So I mean, Randy, are we still waiting for PS Now to finally do something?
Oh, just like everything with Sony, PS Now is just a non-existent thing. This would be a perfect time for Sony to go, hey, the PlayStation Now, they are only saying 100 games. We have 800, but no, they give they don't give two shits about PlayStation Now. And it drives me nuts because I love that service. It is nowhere near Game Pass. I as a Sony boy, I will 100% admit that Game Pass is the greatest thing in gaming right now. And that is it's basically the only thing I go back to the Xbox for, other than when Jens picks games that I have to spend some money on the Xbox to be able to play. But PlayStation Now is a fantastic service, but like everything else, Xbox and Microsoft is all in on Game Pass. And even when Twitter pulls a Twitter and goes way off the rails over something really, really stupid, they are right there just all in on it and making it at least funny at points, because you can't with Twitter.
Meanwhile, Nintendo is over here like, what the hell is a Game Pass?
What's the internet?
They're just over there, just doing their own thing. Honestly, PlayStation, they have the PlayStation Plus collection, which is kind of what could become what Game Pass offers if they would actually really utilize it in the same way. But I feel like Microsoft right now has just got a smart plan with them, as far as offering games, especially new games day one with that service. Because if anything, they're taking a loss on it. I think a lot of people have even talked about this. There's no way they're making a profit, especially right out the gate. They're probably taking a heavy loss, but over time, that's really going to work to their advantage. And people are going to really jump on that service, especially in the next couple of years as we start to get more to this generation.
Yeah, for Xbox, it's all about how many subscribers they have over anything else. I mean, obviously, they don't care about how many sales they get. It's all about subscriptions. But it is really funny, the differences between the companies, right? So you got Microsoft all of our games are day one. You're going to get it on Game Pass. PlayStation's like, well, we have PlayStation Now, and you can download it on PlayStation Now 9 months later. I mean, if you don't want to wait or you don't want to buy it now, once we start putting it on sale, we'll throw it on PlayStation Now for you. And Nintendo's like, oh, you guys really hated what we did with Mario Party? Let's wait a year and a half, and then we'll finally give you the online play that you wanted. When nobody cared about that game anymore. It's just the companies are so different.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird. Nintendo right now, like they would it really behoove them to really think of, or at least, look at something like a service like that for their games, because they have a lot of stuff that people would jump on, especially if they rotated it out like that. It doesn't even need to have as many games as what Game Pass or even what a PlayStation Plus collection could have. All they need to do is just offer Nintendo first-party titles that are classic, and people would still jump in on it, and they would love it because, again, they just love Nintendo by default.
Yeah, I mean, we can't even get Nintendo to like release, some decent games on their Switch Online thing.
They got good games. They just don't have the ones we want. Like they don't have Earthbound. They don't have like a lot of other stuff that people have been asking for. They don't even have like some of the classics that you would see on SNES or NES, completely like that. Because again, like stuff like Chrono Trigger should be on there. Stuff like Mortal Kombat should be on there. But it's like, they can only do so much, and they're only going to care to do so much because they got other things to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. Is like you'd think. I mean, at first I said, okay, when they first introduced it, it makes sense. We're still trying to get people to buy the SNES Classic and all that stuff, so you don't want to like just put all the games on there and everything. But it's like, man, we're how many months from this now, and you're still like withholding a lot of these games. I mean, I credit to them. They're putting on stuff that I think nobody would even think or probably even knew was in the library. But at some point, it's like, if you really want to use it as a driver to the Switch Online, you might want to put on games that people are actually wanting on there and not just like, we'll just put on whatever we can get right now.
How dare you say that about Spanky's Quest?
Yeah. Or, Joe and Mac, like that's the game everybody wants, right?
It's on there.
Yeah, it is on there, and I agree. So, Jake, I mean, like this is, you are big on YouTube, so one of the streamers out there, one of the content creators. You do some great work. I mean, for people who perhaps are listening to us and may not know you, I mean, I'd like to introduce yourself and just say a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, sure. I do more than just streaming and content creation on YouTube. Like, obviously, I have the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/gamerswithgains channel, which I post up highly edited, highly produced videos every single week that are brand new reviews, let's plays, sometimes unboxings and other stuff. That's like where my bread and butter is at, for content for people to check out and enjoy. I do all types of games, and I look at it in the way where, in the same vein that like a Siskel and Ebert would look at film, I look at games in the same way when it comes to critiquing them and actually talking about different types of genres and types of styles of video games, all different types, right? But outside of that, I've done other things for a long time. I've been in the games industry as a professional going on now 12 years as of January coming up. I've done work for places like IGN, Playboy, The Coalition, Switch Player Magazine, Red Bull Gaming. Recently, I just started doing a weekly blog post every single week, where I would actually talk about retro and arcade games that I would write about. And what was it, a couple days ago, at when the weekend came up, I wrote a whole review about Guilty Gear Strive, and then before that, I was talking about some other stuff, with news and everything. So I've been doing a lot out here. I've been trying to do a lot. I've been trying to get my name out, trying to get people to actually really kind of buy into my content and really try to support me and a lot of the stuff that I want to do, because I want to do bigger and better things. Like, obviously, it's like a chicken and egg thing, because you have a lot of ambitions, but sometimes it's not feasible without a lot of support from people, as well as also numbers, for the stuff that you produce. Yeah. So people and companies could actually look at this and be like, okay, we trust you. We see that you have an element of credibility. That's something that's very important to me outside of just the numbers and outside just the subscribers. It's really the credibility and the trust that you get from the audience and from your colleagues that are around you.
Is there somebody like you want to work with, or an outlet you want to work with that you haven't?
There's been a couple. There's when it comes to a creator and like people that I've wanted to like get in touch with and that I've wanted to do something with, even if it's just sit down and just talk about games. I've always wanted to do a thing with Maximilian, dude. I've always wanted to do a thing with Angry Joe. I've met both of them very briefly at E3 because I've gone to 5 E3s and I've only seen them in passing and, said hello and stuff, but they obviously don't know who I am. I think Baby Joe was like the one person out of those two that I've actually like interacted with the most. And it was only because we were both locked out of the damn, was it EA Play conference because we were trying to get in and like the EA like PR just messed everything up. So we were all like outside trying to get into this press conference. But I've always wanted to actually do something with those guys and a few others out there. As far as like websites that I've wanted to go to and actually write for or even get hired by, obviously the biggest one is IGN. I've been open about that for years that I've wanted to do stuff and I freelanced with them, but they've just never given me the opportunity to be part of their staff. And I'm hoping maybe at some point they could just take another look at me. Same thing even with GameSpot. I've always wanted to go to an outlet where I could actually produce work and actually be in front of the camera and actually talk with people and do a lot of stuff of what we see from others, because to me, I find that to be fun. I know it's a lot of work and I know it's a lot of like, rigorous, like long, late nights and stuff. It's a lot of stress that comes with it. And on top of everything else with social media, but it's still fun work to me. It's fun being a part of that world.
What do you think of the G4 coming back and all that?
I actually tried to send them a video to try to actually get them to pay attention to me. It's funny enough because at one point a while back, one of my biggest inspirations, Adam Sessler, like at one point I was like trying to get him to follow me on Twitter and stuff. He still doesn't follow me and such, but at one point he started actually paying attention to some of the tweets when I actually put out my video, and a lot of other industry personnel started sending and retweeting my video when I tagged him. So he was actually able to finally see that and stuff, but it wasn't enough to get me any sort of like, edge or whatnot, to be part of that stuff. I would love to work with people like that because again, it's just fun to me. Again, I come from the days of like old school media where I'm actually like paying attention to a lot of magazines or watching G4 from back in the day. And it's just something that's really stuck with me, and it's helped not guide my career, but heavily influence it. And at least, something that I aspired to be one day.
Yeah. I think all of us could probably say that at some point, something with G4 or Tech TV
or
whatever inspire,
my biggest ones were Adam Sessler. My biggest ones on top of that was Victor Lucas, Tommy Talrico, obviously Morgan Webb, people like that we watched on X-Play, Judgment Day, and even Screensavers or Attack of the Show at one point. But I'm more old G4 where I like a lot of that stuff, as opposed to stuff that they did right before they went off the air. But it's just, again, I looked up to those people because those were the first groups of people that you saw pre-YouTube era that were actually talking about games in a much more professional / like much more like put together fashion. It wasn't just people that were just talking smack. So like, I mean, I know you cover so many different games, doing what you do, but like, are there like favorite genres for you? Or, like your favorite games from back then? Yeah, of course. Like, again, I the reason why I cover so much is because I like to be a Renaissance man when it comes to having a knowledge or an expertise in multiple avenues, because then you're malleable. You're able to talk about just about any game or any genre, any style of game out there. For me, some of my favorites, obviously the fighting game community, the fighting game genre, that's like a big thing with me. I love getting into fighting game bouts with other people. Again, it's just fun to do that. But I'm also a big fan of obviously JRPGs and RPGs. I'm also a big fan of action platformers, games like Castlevania, games like Mario, obviously, games like Dust and Elysian Tale, if you're big in the indie scene. Stuff like that to me is really fun. But again, even with JRPGs and stuff, I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. I'm a huge Witcher fan. I became more recently a Witcher fan when the show came out because I got to it late. But I played it at the right time because not only was I playing Witcher 3 and playing through all the DLC, but then I had the show to kind of like, jump on as well, right? When I wasn't playing Witcher 3. So it's stuff like that I'm really kind of, I gravitate towards, even though I feel like I have to have at least a good, adept knowledge of every genre out there of games in order to talk about them, to be a critic, to be a well-rounded critic for me. Yeah. I mean, that's good because you see so many people now. It's hard because you also have to think about there's like so many different spaces, right? Mm-hmm. So like I can understand people go, okay, well, I'm going to stay in my niche that I like because that also gets me attention, right? That if you try to go too wide, sometimes it's like, well, at some point you're doing too much stuff and, you get certain people that don't. You know what that is? Yeah. That's the YouTube game. That's the content creator game. And honestly, I respect it. I acknowledge it, and I like a lot of the stuff that comes with that. And we have to, again, even though I consider myself a little bit more older media, or at least coming from an older media mindset, you still have to evolve with the times. You still have to borrow elements and learn elements from newer media in order to survive and actually be out there, and not only to stay credible and relevant, but to also like really evolve and adapt your content for other stuff down the line, because obviously not everything's going to be forever. We kept thinking back then that magazines were really the biggest thing for gaming content, like getting our information about video games. And look what happened with that. Like things changed real quick, besides technology evolving, but also just the way that we deliver information between each other and stuff that really becomes a trend like that. Yeah. One of the things that I'll say that I really like about newer media, newer media being YouTube, streaming on Twitch and stuff like that, is that it's so easy to get things together and set things up and put stuff out there. Obviously, there's other things that come along with it, with the production value, with the outreach, obviously the subject matter, and other things that, are part of that. And that's still part of old media as well. But I still love that ability. It's like, okay, I could still turn on my PC, get together some stuff on OBS and put something out on Twitch, and there goes my content. Or make a video for YouTube and put it out there, and hopefully people will watch it. Outside of the nuances, there's a lot of great things that are happening now these days for people that are into this scene.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot more of a direct to you situation. You can make something and, something ends and in 10 minutes you already got a bunch of videos going up. It's crazy.
On the flip side of it,
hours to do. Yeah.
On the flip side of it, though, a lot of content creators, and I think a lot of people that do get into the space now, or at least try to get into the industry now, they shouldn't neglect a lot of the older lessons. Like one of the books that I just got really is called Critical Path, is by Dan Amrich. Okay, that's an older book from like 2012 or 2013. That guy is spitting game in that book and knowledge in that book that is super relevant even today, especially when it comes to stuff like reviews and such. And you could just tell, even by just reading the first few chapters of that book, there's a lot of people that haven't read that stuff or haven't really picked up on those lessons, and would be a huge asset to them. Even people that work at larger outlets and stuff, when it comes to, being well-rounded and actually being, a person or student of the game or student of the craft stuff. Because I feel like it's only going to age you. Everybody gets so caught up on what's successful, what's the hottest thing at the moment, and what's the quick satisfaction or the quick results, and they forget about the rest of the craft.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but let's move away, because we could do a whole podcast just on different things that you do with the craft here. Speaking of, you talked about fighting games being one of your big things. I mean, so the Kazuya reveal was today. When I wasn't the reveal, like the whole showing of his character and everything for Smash was today. I mean, we got one left. Sakurai basically reiterated it's just
coming
one.
Out this
That's
year.
It. Yeah. So I guess let's throw it around. Are we gonna get the big character that everybody wants, one of these big characters? Or are we just going to get something that Navy is more Nintendo based? Like how major do you feel like this last character is going to be, Jake?
Honestly, I think we're going to get a big character, but it's not going to be the one that a lot of people want. I think that there's a strong possibility we could get someone like a Crash Bandicoot. I'm pulling for Scorpion and Sub-Zero. And the reason why I say that is because there's a lot of fighting game love in this game. And also Mortal Kombat has a huge legacy with Nintendo, especially the Super Nintendo. So it just seems like stuff like that can match up to me. But I'd be happy with like a Crash Bandicoot. I'll be happy with a Rayman or something like that. But you have people that are still waving the flag for someone like Sora, which I understand the popularity. Again, I wrote a bunch of stuff about Kingdom Hearts. I've even interviewed the producer of Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key. I've done stuff with the series, so I get it. The problem is, though, is that I feel like there's way too much red tape. There's way too much weird, business politics and other gymnastics that I feel like that would need to be done in order for something like that to happen. And why would Nintendo, let alone Sakurai and his whole team, go through that trouble of doing something like that when they could just as easily get another popular character that won't cause as much trouble for them to do so? Business wise, that just makes sense to me. And again, I think it's Sora is owned by partially by Disney, besides Square Enix, which is a whole nother thing I'm pretty sure nobody wants to deal with like that. If you guys remember World of Final Fantasy actually had a summon where Sora was part of that. However, they didn't renew it for World of Final Fantasy Maxima. You actually can't download that DLC anymore. And I'm pretty sure that has to deal with Disney in some fashion with the licensing, or at least the ownership of that character. So it just feels like there's just way too much nonsense that could go with that. But I think that at least whatever the final character is going to be, which is, again, coming out this year, it's going to be something big, and it's going to be a big, like, splash for people. I don't think it's going to be a garbage reel. I don't even think it's going to be a Nintendo first-party character. I think it's going to be a third-party character that's going to be super hype.
I think it almost has to be a third-party character at this point because, like, if you just do another first-party character... I mean, other than I don't think even the one of the fan favorites like Gino would really say
I don't think it's Gino.
Like
I don't think it's Gino. Honestly,
Randy. I mean, I know you are a big Crash fan, so I mean, I'm sure that would make you happy. But like, Disney just did a partnership with Sea of Thieves. It's possible, right? Like, they're showing that they are able to move with the times. Maybe. I mean, is it going to be a Master Chief, a Sora, somebody like that, or maybe a lesser?
I honestly, with it being the last one, all I can guarantee you is the majority of people are going to be upset by it.
Yeah,
the person that they want
True.
isn't going to be in. So, and I have no clue. They have tricked me on every single one of these in this pack. I would have never guessed that Sephiroth would have been one of the characters. So, you know what? If we're all making predictions, let's go way off the wall. I haven't heard this prediction in a long time. How about just Chrono? I mean, we're talking about Chrono Trigger's not on the system, so now they'll tease you anymore. You still can't play Chrono Trigger on the Switch, but you can play as Chrono.
Yeah.
Take that.
I mean, most of the time, it usually means that there's going to be some kind of Nintendo connection with the character that they add. So, I mean, I would hope if you're going to add the character from my favorite game of all time, you better be telling me you're going to put that game on the Switch. I mean, Jens.
Every time you ask me this question, so I'm just going to name a random Fire Emblem character. So I'm just going to say Shinon from Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn.
That actually, you know what? I'm begging that the last character ever in this Smash Ultimate is a Fire Emblem character.
Can you imagine?
Fire Emblem character. There'll be riots on YouTube. I'll tell you that right now.
They'll burn Twitter down to the ground.
I'll tell you right now, the biggest Nintendo YouTubers are going to just revolt. They're going to be like, we're not covering Nintendo no more. We're rebelling. That's it. We're going on strike. Like,
Nintendo never understands like pop culture or anything, but if they're following the internet at all, please, when you do your reveal, have one of the new Fire Emblem characters show up first and then get taken out by whatever character
exactly.
So funny. I'll tell you who it won't be, though. It won't be Dante from Devil May Cry. That reveal. That was hilarious. I felt the salt from Capcom fans from there. I was like, damn, that's got to hurt.
They got people good, too, with the taking out Ganondorf at the beginning with the Kazuya one, too. So, thinking everybody's going to make it be Breath of the Wild. Mark, I mean, any idea on that?
I guess my hope would be Hornet from Fighters Megamix and Virtua Racing.
Man,
he was a car.
Well, I mean, they made Ridley work, so I guess they could put a car in there.
And Sakurai is a fighting game fan, so you never know. You go real deep cut.
It's kind of like third-party characters. I'd say either Alucard from Castlevania or like Goku or like Naruto or something like that.
I think you said no Goku because Goku doesn't originate in video games.
And Alucard has to originate right now.
Yeah. I mean, Alucard could still show up. Definitely. I think there already being a Belmont, I think, kind of hurts that a little bit. But
it's Alucard plays quite differently.
You know something, though? I think that the last character has a very strong possibility to be a female fighter, to be honest with you, because I know that that's been a complaint from a lot of people. And it would just kind of make sense that what's a dope female fighter from any series that they could implement into something like this? And I mean, if you really want to stretch it and you think like, okay, they're really going to go crazy with the Final Fantasy VII love, like what they've already done, it'd be awesome to see someone like Tifa show up. I think that'd be really cool.
Oh, man.
That'd be
I would be down for that.
Yeah.
I think
anything to get more Final Fantasy VII music on.
Exactly.
Exactly. Get more of that. Or, put they could put Yuffie in there just to throw everybody off too.
Or Yuffie, yeah, that'd be a dope pick too. I'm not gonna lie, but it just seems like again, if you get away from the Final Fantasy VII stuff, like it just feels like that would make sense to me because I mean we did get Min Min, which is another female fighter. We've had Byleth and others here and there, but it just feels like, again, like that's just something that I think as a company Nintendo would think about. Be like, okay, what's another dope female fighter
Lightning
we can implement?
Lightning.
Yeah, Lightning. You could do Lightning.
Mm.
Yeah,
give me a costume switch with her Final Fantasy 13-2 costume as well.
I can't even agree with that because I actually hate Final Fantasy 13. Like that whole saga. I don't like it, honestly.
I'll agree with you on 13-3, but the other two, but
3 is the one where they changed the combat system. I
didn't
liking it.
I was
I thought
not
it was
a
whack.
fan of those. No. I'm gonna go with the old Master Chief just because I think that'd be awesome to have him in there. And Microsoft's been doing so much with Nintendo with the crossplay and everything, and they even though yes, a lot of the games the ones that came over like Cuphead and Ori are not Microsoft first party studios. If Microsoft ever did, they do have that little bit of a partnership with Banjo-Kazooie there already, so it'd be cool to have Master Chief be the last one in there. So I mean this will be a thing until it happens. Everybody will be making predictions for what is going to be that last Smash character. But talking about a Sony for a little bit, because it feels like they weren't part of E3. They've kind of been in the shadows. But recently, there's been rumors coming up of Ghost of Tsushima possibly getting either a small sequel or expansion type thing called Ghost of Ikishima. I mean, I know everybody's kind of mixed on the Ghost of Tsushima here. Love last year. We didn't rate it as high on our top 25, I think, as a lot of other people did. I mean, Jake, like, where do you stand on?
I loved it.
Ghost.
That was one of my favorite games of 2020. Like, I felt like a lot of people, you saw it with the Game Awards and a lot of other places, they really said that Last of Us Part 2 was the best game of 2020. I don't think so. Honestly, as much as I felt like that game was good, I think that Ghost of Tsushima was definitely a pick or a solid pick. I think also Hades was a solid pick too, as well. Again, you could have made a case for any one of those games last year, but with Ghost specifically, I think it's one of those games that just looks fantastic. Like it doesn't do anything too revolutionary. Like a lot of people use that as a criticism with it. Like it doesn't do anything too different compared to like a lot of other open world games or even games kind of like what Assassin's Creed did. But it did it right though. It felt good. Like doing a lot of stuff. I'm pretty sure I platinumed Ghost of Tsushima, or at least I got close to it.
We all platinumed it. Even if we only gave it 7s or whatever.
It's a game that really kept you going back for more, to do more stuff. Like, because you wanted to complete all those little side quests, those little side stories, those little legends and stuff. And then obviously later on when they gave you pretty much the multiplayer content, which is, again, a whole nother element to that game, it just made it like a really solid package. And I thought that was really freaking cool. It was a good game. I felt like a lot of the criticisms with that were a little bit unfair because they were based on other things outside of it. And also because I felt like a lot of people were trying to roll hard for Last of Us Part 2. But it was still a very solid game that year.
Yeah, honestly, I think platinuming that game is the reason why I struggled with it, because there were so many collectibles that just...
Content spread too thin.
Too many collectibles. And after a while, I'm like, how many times do I have to chase this damn fox around? But it actually makes me more interested in the side story idea. I really like where Sony has been going with this, with what they did with Uncharted, what they've done with Spider-Man. Now do it with Ghost of Tsushima, with just do a half version, a third version, as far as size-wise as Tsushima was, and tell another story and kind of use it as an experiment for different gameplay elements that they want to put on with a full-blown sequel. Kind of like what we've seen with these other ones. I'm way down for it. Jens and I were a little bit lower than a lot.
We
of
didn't
people.
hate it or anything.
No,
I mean,
we
it's
thought
perfectly enjoyable.
Was good, but at the same time, I would definitely want to play another one.
I'll tell you right now, you best believe that game is getting a sequel, especially with the splash that it did. That I think Insomniac actually got.
And they set it up in the game. They got
an award from Japan or some sort of honorary like ambassadorship for Japan for representing the island of Tsushima. Like that game did stuff like outside of just the sales, but that it was that much of a big deal for a lot of people. So you best believe they're getting a sequel.
I think it makes sense that the game is so popular in Japan, considering that it's highly nationalistic and pro-Japan. So, of course, they like it. They like that kind of media. And apparently the Japanese dub is really good. I think the criticisms that are leveled at its historical accuracy have some merit. Of how it mixes eras, puts the Bushido Code 300 years out of date, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it's one of those like after Sucker Punch did so much with that game, it's inevitable to me that we're going to see a second one. I mean, we already know that Infamous is they put it on an island. They pretty much said they're done with it. Like, so this is kind of what they're going with. And I mean, it's a surprise for Sony. And hell, you even got Devolver spoofing it with that. Oh man, I can't remember the name of the game at this point, but it's hilarious. They took the black and white mode and made it into its own game that's going to come out next year.
Yeah, that looked dope in Ghost of Tsushima. That Kurosawa mode looking thing, like that looked dope.
So, I mean, Mark, like, are you going to step back into this? I know you guys played the multiplayer as well.
I'll probably be the one to review it, so yeah.
Oh, well, that's true. Probably will.
I mean, Tsushima was fine. I didn't even platinum it, though, because I just got kind of bored by the end of it, because they're just doing the same 10 or 15 things over and over again. So I'm like, yeah, I'm done with this. I did finish it, though, but it's like, yeah, like, the side stories are fine, but it's like, the landmass is like way too big.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, God, I want to go keep traveling around on this mess of a map.
Well, I mean, so we've talked about Sony's thing. We talked about Final Fantasy for a little bit. This was something that surprised the crap out of me all of a sudden. And, for me, Final Fantasy 9 is my favorite Final Fantasy. So hearing that it's going to get its own animated production was like something that like maybe kind of get out of my seat on break. And I was like, wow, okay. They could have gone with 7, right? They're doing all this stuff with 7 right now. And like, it's awesome that they said, okay, let's do it with 9, which, I mean, there are some like heavy themes in 9, but it's not anything that I think kids couldn't gravitate towards now. I mean, am I the only one that's hyped out about?
Listen,
No, I'm incredibly excited.
I want to see it. Like, I like these adaptations because, Square and just like, again, a lot of like RPGs and stuff, they do well as anime adaptations. Like, again, not too long ago, we got The World Ends With You, which I haven't seen fully yet. I want to binge all of it like that, but I hear great things about it. Like, I hear it's really good.
Listen,
9, I think, lends itself particularly well to that sort of thing. Like, the visual style will translate really well into 3D animation. The story has a really good miniseries kind of format. So I think it's a really great choice. Also my favorite Final Fantasy. So I'm pretty excited.
You know, it'd be cool if this leads to other like adaptations of other games. Like I would love to see them do this for like classic Final Fantasy games like Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, or 4. I think that'd be really freaking cool for some of those older games where they could kind of like almost remake or remix some of those stories in the same way of like what they did with Final Fantasy 7 Remake, obviously not to that extent, but like just done and delivered in a different way where they could actually show people like, okay, here's like, this story, go play this game that was from like 1990 something. Like it'd be really cool to see that.
They announced something like that 2 years ago.
Oh yeah?
There's going to be a Final Fantasy live action series where they combine or they have different characters from every like the 15 main Final Fantasy games.
Oh, the Once Upon a Time of Final Fantasies?
Yeah.
Like, is it Dissidia almost?
Yeah, but good.
Yeah, but good.
And
live action
never come out.
Dissidia 1 and 2 were good, but like Dissidia and T was meh.
all I know is that Netflix and all of these different TV producers and movie producers are hooked on Jens and I's version of Chapter Select Act the Movies. Because when we started this, we had 2 movies that have come out in the last couple of years, Detective Pikachu and Sonic or whatever. So it's like, all right, we can catch up on this and watch all these movies and TV shows. And since we started doing this,
it's a new golden era.
Has released 87 different video game adaptations of everything else. We've had 20 other ones just get announced in the last week. We went from, we'll run out in a year or so to we're never going to catch up. And so obviously everyone
but that's the fun part,
yell
though.
about their stuff. So it's if it's good, you can thank Jens and I, and if it's shit, then you can blame Sean.
Oh, blame me. Okay.
I just want to see that Dynasty Warriors movie. Looks amazing.
Oh
That's
no.
soon. I don't know about amazing, but it'll be on our show.
Right
soon.
now, I think that Uncharted movie is gonna suck, like straight up. Like
Listen,
there's just certain
Jake,
things. That just
we've
like,
been having fun here, sir.
I'm just
Let
saying.
me have my hope
Listen, if you want
out.
your Tom Holland, Nathan Drake to look good, I could tell you right now that the whole movie's gonna be bad.
It's probably gonna suck, but we don't need to talk about it until it does suck. Okay, let me.
I'm
I
just
remain
saying.
eternally
Don't
optimistic.
even get the popcorn when you go see it, B. Don't even get a soda. Don't even get a candy. That's how bad.
I think it'll be some fun. Like it's not gonna be. I don't think anybody's going to that movie thinking, okay, we're gonna get the next action franchise. It's just
They're going to see the train wreck.
Yeah,
just be better than the Resident Evil series.
You know what? I'll agree to that. Yes.
I mean, that's a pretty low bar.
It's not sufficient.
I'll tell you right now, I don't think it's going to be better than Mortal Kombat. I actually like Mortal Kombat. As much as I have problems with that, I actually think it won't be better than Mortal Kombat.
Well, I mean, we are talking about movies, so this was something that is coming in a few days, the Game Pass, and I'm actually excited about it because it's giving me a lot of Chaos in the Windy City vibes, the Michael Jordan game. Mm-hmm. And apparently this Space Jam game, tie-in game, is a lot like that. So I'm down for any time you want to make a beat 'em up, but something that reminds me of that with LeBron and, if you get the tunes involved, I'm down.
Are you sure it's more like that and not like Shaq Fu?
Oh God, I had to review Shaq Fu. Yeah.
Don't
both of them.
See, you're talking about ruining the fun, Randy. Now you're like killing my vibe with bringing back Shaq Fu.
At least Michael Jordan in the Windy City was good to an extent, somewhat.
I mean, but that's back then when you had so many different variations of beat 'em ups. I mean, that's always going to be hard to. You're going to get your good ones in your kind of
because it's Jordan. People will go back to it more because it's Michael Jordan. They'll do it more than they will go back to Shaq with Shaq Fu.
Yeah, I mean, maybe LeBron will bring in some folks to go try it out. I think it's going to be free also, so that's cool for people that are getting ready for that movie to hit within 15 days.
Why not make a basketball game?
Because it's that would probably take more time for them to do.
You talk about beat 'em ups. They've been making beat 'em ups quite frequently lately. Why not just an NBA Jam style basketball game?
I agree with you on there, but I think that also didn't they crowdsource that? They took ideas from
that was Kickstarter, right?
No, not Shaq Fu. I'm talking about this game, the Space Jam game, is actually supposed to be crowdsourced. They took ideas from fans,
good game,
and then that's
right?
the one that
good game.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my copy now, on the shelf, oh God, shame I have.
Well, since we're already on the Game Pass road here,
we have to go back there. We just
let's just get this. I did actually test this out today. I don't know if this got actually put out today or it's gonna be slowly put out in the week. It didn't seem to work as intended when I tested it out on iBreak, and I'm using the Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspot, so I don't know if that's the intended speed that they want you to be at, but I also don't think that using it on a 600 megabyte speed that I have here at home is probably the anything close to what you would say a lot of America or many other countries have. But I think it felt like it was at least smoother. I don't know that it loads any faster so far, but we'll see how it goes. But I hopefully throughout the time that they've now started to add these Series X blades to xCloud, that it works really well. And that's good for people that want to use it on browser or iOS or Android or whatever. So at least getting that update quicker than I thought, because they had first said it was going to come out at the end of July. So cool that that's already out there. And then, of course, Windows 11 is going to have this stuff built in. So, have the auto HDR and all that stuff, making it ready for everybody to want to play Game Pass on your PC or whether it's through the browser on that. I mean, do you use that much, Jake, or
not really, to be honest. So right now, I'm a little bit more on my PlayStation 5 than I am with Xbox. So I had an Xbox One for a time. I'm waiting a bit before I can get an Xbox Series X, at least, just so I can mess around with stuff like that. But I don't know. Honestly, I think that cloud gaming, or at least stuff done like that, amongst different devices, stuff, it's not really going to work as well, or it's going to take a lot longer to connect here with everybody here in the US because of the way that our internet is structured. Obviously, stuff like Stadia wasn't all that great. Stuff like, a lot of other cloud gaming services. I would even argue with like PlayStation Now, like it just hasn't really been a thing where people could really kind of, jump into because of their ISPs, because of like the amount of speed in the internet that they have available to them, especially in places that don't have access to like ridiculous internet. Not everybody's even going to have like a 200 down internet connection. Some of them don't even get past 50, and that's a shame because you can't play a game like that, streaming like that, or at least, streaming through the cloud in some way like that. So who knows? We'll see what happens in the next like couple of years, maybe.
So are you a Killer Instinct? Being a fighting game guy, are you a Killer Instinct fan? Or?
Yeah, I'm a Killer Instinct fan. Yeah, I like Killer Instinct. I like the reboot.
Did you like the original? The season version that they had on the most recent?
Yeah, when I had my Xbox One, I got the season 1 thing, so I got all the fighters with that, and then I jumped a little bit into season 2, like with some of the other fighters afterwards. But I never really messed with it like as much as like what I did with like Mortal Kombat. I probably messed with Mortal Kombat more than I did Killer Instinct. Same thing also with Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur I was big into because I love that series.
Well, I mean, the Postmaster wants to bring it back again, so should be interesting whenever that does happen. And I mean, have you been paying attention to this Tekken versus X Streetfighter?
Oh yeah, I know about that. I remember when that got announced. I remember when that was a thing. Like, funny story, right? That I could finally tell now because I mean it's not a huge deal. But originally years ago, I went to the Bandai Namco campus, their actual like headquarters in California, and this was after Street Fighter Cross Tekken came out, and like Tekken Cross Street Fighter had been a thing for a long time. Where it's like again, it was in development hell, quote unquote, and it was one of those things where you wanted to ask Harada about that, but you obviously know, like being part of the media, like he can't talk about stuff that like he hasn't announced or he hasn't really like done stuff that he's put out there yet and stuff. But I remember that's always been a thing for people where they wanted to know more about it because there's been stuff that he even came out and said now when it got canceled, like 30% of it was done. Like they had models done in the Tekken engine of Street Fighter characters. That's wild when you think about it, but it sucks where, I think that part of the success or the failure of Street Fighter Cross Tekken really contributed to that, but also the fact that everybody kind of just moved on for that style of crossover. Because, I mean, we had other games and other things that everybody was playing, moving on beyond that time when that game got announced. It would be cool to see that get revisited maybe sometime down the line, maybe in a couple years. If anything, like I think that the crossover game that people should be clamoring for now, that's like almost prime time to have now, would be a Capcom versus SNK, as opposed to something with Bandai Namco with Capcom. It just feels like that could still work. That whole concept with the Street Fighter characters in the Tekken engine could still work, but maybe not within the next couple of years.
I mean, Marc, like with the fact that we don't really know where there's a Street Fighter 6 going on right now, I mean, it would kind of help fill that void until Capcom,
Well, Capcom needs to do something because their only fighting game left is Street Fighter 5, and that's like a depressing mess.
Yeah, it's successful. It's just that it had a very weird rocky start. Like I remember like covering that game when it first released, and it was clearly a game that they were trying to cater to a certain crowd. Like they were banking on the esports crowd or the competitive gaming scene, which is the FGC, and it just kind of didn't work out for them because everybody
that stuff has to be done organic. That stuff has to be done organically. They can't just say here's a fighting game esports game. It's like they did that with like Evolve.
Well, you know why? You know why that is? Because games like Mortal Kombat and NetherRealm Studios really changed up what it means to release a fighting game like that as a package. Because look at all that single player content. Like you don't need to be into esports to really get the most out of that game. Mortal Kombat or of games like Tekken 7 especially because they came out of MKX.
Yeah, but Mortal Kombat wasn't like a new thing. It's they had two other Mortal Kombat before that were basically the same damn game.
Yeah,
It's
but they weren't gearing towards the same crowd. Is my point. Like Capcom was trying to gear towards that like specific crowd, but they failed with it.
Yeah, they shouldn't have. And I'll look at the mess that was Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Oh, that was another mess. Yeah, that was entirely.
So it's unless Capcom brings back like Rival Schools or Darkstalkers, they're kind of done. Like if they go like, hey, we're making Street Fighter 6, it's like, nope, thank you.
Honestly, I don't think I would say they're done because I mean, they have a lot of other franchises, like again, Resident Evil being the one that's getting like.
Well, they're done as like a fighting game company for a while. I mean, yeah, they're not done as a company, but.
You mean just like the fighting games themselves?
Yeah, them going like, oh, we're going to keep supporting Street Fighter 5 like a few months ago. It's like,
well, they still
why?
they do well enough to support stuff like the CPT, which is the Capcom Pro Tour, which is basically that whole fighting game scene and stuff. But I do agree with you. Is like it hasn't been as big as what like Street Fighter 4 was. Street Fighter 4 was like a revolution almost for that genre. There was like a resurgence for it. They need to get back to that type of level and stuff, whatever they need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean. That it's going to be interesting what Capcom does for now, but at least Capcom doesn't have to rely so much on Street Fighter because they have so many other. They have at least Monster Hunter that's been carrying their flag. Yeah. Resident Evil's been coming back. Mark, have you gotten any farther in the Resident Evil village? No.
I'm playing Nocturne.
Oh, you're playing that? Okay. So
nice.
You didn't. Okay, so you reviewed it and you had not finished it, or you're going back and
I didn't finish it. I know like they didn't change the game ending. I already beat it 15 years ago.
All right, I just wanted to like so you're like going through and still trying to beat the game. Okay,
yeah, I'm trying to do the hard, the like extra hard ending. So that's a nightmare.
Well, Jake, have you been playing anything?
Yeah,
want to talk about?
I've been playing a lot. Like the most recent game release that I played and finished and practically almost platinum was Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which for me, that's the best PS5 game out right now. I think it's better than Returnal. Even though I didn't spend a lot of time with Returnal, I don't own it. I've only like dabbled with it. But like Ratchet and Clank was such a joy to go through. It was like, this was the reason why I purchased this console. Like this was the game that, or at least a game that made me proud to own a PlayStation 5. Like it was just fun to do so. Like I would go back to it and I would just effortlessly and like not even thinking about the fact that I was going through this game 100%. And that's what you want from an experience like that, especially to justify your purchase of a $500+ console like the PlayStation 5 or whatever at that point. Besides that, I did a review and I did a whole bunch of stuff for Guilty Gear Strive, obviously, which it was just pretty darn good. Virtual Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown is another one. Obviously Warzone. I've been going back to Call of Duty Warzone for a number of different reasons, with friends and stuff. That's been fun. Same thing with Overwatch. But I've been dabbling between a lot of different stuff with my PlayStation 5 and my Nintendo Switch, because obviously Smash, obviously, some other games that I've had, releases like Fire Emblem Three Houses, like I even picked up Fire Emblem Warriors, just for collection purposes. And what was the other one? Oh, Sakuna of Rice and Ruin was the other one that I recently did a video today of, that I was actually, I've been trying to do different stuff for a review that I want to do down the line, but that game is long, so I want to actually, take the time and really kind of get through it.
Yeah, Sakuna is one of those games that I really, it came out during the launch of the new systems.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to get a code at the time, but like I really always have wanted to go back and like give it the time because I've heard it's really good.
Funny enough, I saw that game when it was first announced at E3. I got to play it, like the beta version or whatever demo version they had at the time at E3, and it's still very similar to how it was even way back then. As far as like the combat and other stuff like that, it's pretty darn good. It's a neat idea, but I just love the presentation of it. Like that's what really kind of charms me into like really seeing what was up with that game. Like just the idea that the whole concept of like planting rice. And that's like tied into like your RPG elements and stuff that allows you to do better out in the field, with the combat or the action platforming. Stuff like that I thought was pretty cool. But just the overall presentation of it was really dope.
Yeah, I mean, it was really surprising to me that it was like, wow, okay, you have all these other games that have come out, and like that's one of the ones that people are like, hey, don't miss on this, don't miss on this. So I think it's on sale right now. So definitely people should go check it out if you can. Randy, you did the review. It's on the site. He gave it a 9 out of 10. Like, what did you said? Spoilers for what we're gonna talk about, obviously, but like, why is it like the best game? on PS5 for you?
It's just like he was saying, just as far as just it's so much fun to play. Like I platinumed that game without even like going out of my way to like put in the effort to platinum. Not that it's easy or anything. It's just I couldn't put it down. I just wanted to play it over and over. I think I put 16 hours into it and absolutely loved every second of it. There are definitely things that I wish that they would have included. I think the worlds maybe are a little small at times, especially when you look at the 2016 version of Ratchet and Clank. Like this doesn't feel like that much leaps and bounds better than that as far as like world building goes, but just with how much stuff is happening on the screen, and it never dips in quality or frame rate or anything like that. It just is a beautiful game. It runs extremely well. You can tell that they have taken this genre and they are pros at it, and that's what this is. It doesn't change the game. It doesn't invent the wheel. It's just a fantastic 3D platformer, and I loved every second of it. So I have that review up. I have the Japanese people and their names. I can't do this anymore. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade Intermission.
Yeah,
I have that review out there. Absolutely love that one too. The main thing that I came away from that, and I say it in the review, unless Sean changed that, because Sean does a great job of making my garbage words make sense. So hopefully it's still in there, or at least the message is still in there. If you've played Remake, this is a must.
Yep.
You have to play it. Not even just to play a little bit more Remake. The things that they throw at you at the end of this, not only do it was like 15 minutes of cutscenes that you have to go through. I then went on a 7-hour binge of watching different people break this stuff down. I'm so good.
Did you see the Easy Allies spoiler cast that they did?
I've not watched Easy Allies yet. You
gotta watch it.
I watched Maximilian. I went back to Twitch and watched Maximilian's
his reaction
and watched his up and down like feelings on different things while playing it, and then the 2 hours that he talked about it after the fact, and was just completely hooked. It's what happened to me at Remake, where they throw so much at you at the end where you're just going, well, now what's going on? Now I need to go figure out what other people are going to talk about. It was so good. And the gameplay is fantastic. Jens and I talked about it on Chapter Select. I hated Yuffie in the original Final Fantasy VII. They made me love her in this one. She's as high energy as she was in the original, but so much more fun. And you know what? A lot of people were upset that Fort Condor got turned into a board game, but that might be a top 3 side game in a Final Fantasy series ever. It's so much fun, and I really hope that with whatever they do with Remake Part 2, that as Cloud you get to start playing as Fort Condor, because I just want more of that now.
Yeah, man, that's I have it there. I have so much other things that I have to get through. I'm like, as soon as we finish here, I'm going to be writing that Ninja Gaiden Master Collection review. I was able to get through more of 2 and 3 today, and I was like, okay, that's
you are a strong man, sir.
Those games are hard.
Well, no, 2 and 1 are actually really good games. It's just 3 is. I'm glad it's there, and I didn't have a Wii U at the time, so I never got to try that out. But I was like, well, thank God I didn't, because I know if I would have had the Wii U at the time, I would have bought it because I love Ninja Gaiden. And it's like somebody decided, let's put Call of Duty in Ninja Gaiden and Americanize it and just make that series terrible. Like, why do we need big guns and mecha things, like just shooting rain? Like, why does every section with ninjas have to have a guy with a rocket launcher shooting stuff at me constantly? Like, it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Like, this is so annoying, because then I have to go realize that I'm taking out the rocket launcher guy and then do what I'm supposed to do. Like, no, thank you. Just you can, unless you just want to complete the whole thing, you can just completely just skip Razor's Edge and you'll be great. So, honestly, that's like the thing I've been playing, because I got to review that thing. I've also been, enjoying more Chicory, which I'll talk about when we get to the top 5. And I've gotten to, I got a code for Scarlet Nexus, so I've been going through that and enjoying that. I already love the demo, so getting to just play through. I mean, I'm still kind of in the area where you are kind of in the demo as far as like the powers and everything, but you get more as time goes on. I'm excited to kind of keep going through that. But I am really hoping I can get through all this so I can play that episode Intermission, because I'm excited to go back to that and also enjoy the Intergrade, the actual Final Fantasy like improvement, to get to see it on this, great.
It looks great.
Like getting to see it in 4K.
It's gorgeous. So. You're playing it like that on a PS5. It looks awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm just ready to enjoy all that. So, Jens, have you been? You have taken the charge for everyone of playing this game that I've seen is
no one wants to play.
Not only, no one wants to play this thing. When it first came out, the first 2 days, I was able to matchmake quite easily and get into parties. And it has now been a week since it has come out, and I cannot get into a game. It's become impossible. Like, this is a free game on Game Pass, and nobody's playing it. I'm of course talking about. I'm of course talking about Dungeons and Dragons: Dark Alliance.
Oh, I heard a lot of people really didn't like that game.
I finished it, so it's done. It's probably about 12-hour long campaign, very samey. 3 big kind of tile sets, area types, but all the dungeons and enemy types basically play the same. It feels like the same encounter over and over again. The combat is incredibly stiff and laggy when it works. When it doesn't work, which is pretty much all the time, the enemy AI just breaks on you, and they stand around getting wailed on. Though sometimes they will just randomly insta-kill you too. So even though 98% of the gameplay is entirely brain dead, every now and then you will just die for no apparent reason. Or you'll get swarmed and suddenly, taken out after what felt like a very easy run up until that point. Lots of scripting breaks. There's cases where, bosses will go through certain phases where they're invincible, and then they will never come out of those phases. So a lot of stuff like that. It's just the story is incredibly disappointing. There really isn't much of a story to speak of. The aesthetic is very much like Ersatz. Not even Ersatz Lord of the Rings, but it kind of seems to be modeled after the orc stuff in those Hobbit movies as far as the aesthetic and the humor goes. And it's just awful. It actually, at first glance, it looks kind of pretty. Like, you look at it and you think, oh yeah, for a $40 game, this actually is quite impressive. But the animations are what really betray that. Yeah, like the animations are terrible, and just the overall brokenness of it is crazy. Like, it is more broken than, we look back on things like Too Human or, these kind of infamous bad dungeon crawlers. This is more broken than that. Any game that I've ever ragged on the show about, like, this combat is not very good. We were ragging on Final Fantasy Origins a couple of weeks ago, and like that is like, by comparison, that game might as well be Devil May Cry 5. So yeah, it just felt like a complete waste. It has a terrible loot system. The loot is garbage anyway. You basically, every enemy is a huge damage sponge.
Yeah,
what can I say? Oh,
Go ahead. Sorry.
The final, it also, just from a game design standpoint, does nothing new that you haven't seen a million billion times in these types of games. I mean, I realize that's kind of a lazy critique, but when your final boss is a dragon that you just have to kind of whittle down, and then between phases run to launch a catapult at, it's like, oh yeah, I haven't done that in Demon's Souls and Dragon Age and the old Baldur's Gate. It doesn't really have anything of interest going on. It is just pure tedium.
Yeah, I saw like somebody was like just hacking away at this one character, and the rest of the entire group just stands there.
Oh, that's every encounter.
I mean, like, I was like, wow, this is
help me out, guys. I'm here.
That's not great. So
But yeah, and the matchmaking is awful. Like you can't set parameters. I can't say I want to do something in this difficulty range or in this area.
Mm-hmm.
You just either make a custom match, which is just you open yourself up for people to join you, which basically then causes you to sit around. And by the time that people join you, you're in, the bathroom or something, and then they leave again. Like I've definitely joined. I've hit quick match a bunch of times and just gotten games where somebody was just standing there because they'd obviously just let the game sit for a bit, and now you're stuck in their lobby. But you really can't control, like, oh, I want to run this particular dungeon. Like that kind of matchmaking does not exist. You either do a quick match or you just hope that people join you.
That's annoying.
It has not been successful at getting me into groups to actually do things like, oh, I want to do this particular boss, but I really need to get a group for it. Nope.
Well, I mean, there you go. It tells you everything.
Yeah. Anyway.
What you need to know about that game. Anything else, Jens, that you...
I'm about halfway through Ratchet and Clank, but I put Ratchet and Clank aside to play Darker Lines.
That's a good choice.
Go wash out that bad game with some more Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, exactly.
His rationale is because it's free, and it's like that's
no.
Not
it's my rationale is also because I love the old Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance games.
Okay.
And I loved the spiritual successor, The Lord of the Rings: War in the North, which I think is criminally underrated. And this looked kind of like that. I was hoping for, another dungeon crawler in that style, but it's just so incompetent from a production standpoint, and so monotonous gameplay wise that it's honestly the most disappointing. Now I haven't played Balan Wonderworld yet.
Oh, I heard that was bad.
I want to. I almost picked that up because it was on sale for like $20 the other day, and Randy was like, "Wait, it'll get cheaper."
It will get
so
cheaper.
I'm gonna wait a little bit longer on that, but I definitely I want to see how that is.
I mean, Square Enix is usually one of the ones that's pretty quick about putting stuff on sale.
Yeah, but for now, this is by far like I haven't been I can't remember the last time I've been this disappointed in a video game.
Y'all didn't play The Quiet Man?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I did play The Quiet Man.
Review. That was bad.
The Quiet Man I never finished. There's just one fight where I could never figure out the timing.
It's terrible game.
It's awful. Yeah, I bought that on sale for like $6, I think. It was just like, okay, let's see if it is as bad as people say. It was much worse than people say.
They need to put that game on Games Pass and then people be like, yo, what happened here?
PS Plus. That needs to be that needs to be the big PS Plus game for the month.
And he's like, no,
don't that into existence.
PS Plus with this. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. You know what game actually the experience of Dark Alliance was most like is a game that Randy recommended to me called I Am Male. Because you spent so much of Dark Alliance just holding down the left trigger and hitting X for minutes at a time that it really felt like playing I Am Male.
I recommended that game to you. I don't remember that.
You did, which is just a clicker game.
Well, I hope you
Didn't
enjoyed
you guys do that on the backlog?
Yeah, Wes did. Wes played I Am Male on the backlog.
Well, just to keep further putting bad things on the fire there, apparently the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters will start coming out in July in Japan.
Disgusting. They should be on Switch in a collection. That's what they should have been.
Right. I'm glad that somebody else.
Like the collection of Mana, they should have been in a bundle and put on it's in a Switch and PlayStation 4, or PS5, whatever. Multiple platforms. But really, for me, Nintendo Switch and PS4 should have been the platforms as a bundle, as a collection. And for whatever reason, they just keep going back to mobile with this, man. And people want to spend money on these games. People want to spend money to buy them as a bundle because they love these games. But, I don't know what's up with them.
Yeah, just go back and watch our reaction. Sean and I were so excited for 10 seconds and then lost it instantly when it put up mobile and Steam.
I mean, it's, again, like I don't want to keep belaboring this point, but it's very easy for them. They already have the originals there. So all they have to do is just pixel remaster the ones that are there, and then the problem is they have to do from the ground up for the other systems, and I think they want to see how they do on Steam and mobile first before they take the time to go put them on Switch. And then obviously once you do it on Switch, people are going to be expecting you put them on the other consoles, which they weren't, originally on, and people are going to, and that's even more work for Square. So that's on them if they want to do that or not. I mean, so it'll be interesting to see how quick, if we ever see it, does Remake ever come to PC. And I mean, we already saw that apparently there's a Epic Game Store hidden things in there. So how quick does it show up on Epic Game Store, and does it ever show up on Xbox? So Square's got a lot of work they're doing right now with all these other things that they have everything going on. So I don't blame them in a way, but man, come on, put it on Switch soon. Put it on Switch soon, because I really don't want to play it on Steam. I'll support them and probably buy it on Steam like an idiot, but go put it on the Switch. So let's get on with our main topic here, guys. Jake, you get to surprise because all of us have ours in here. We're doing our top 5 games of the year so far. So anything that released January 1st of 2021 to the end of June.
I'm trying to look at it like a schedule, because like I know I played games that were like in the beginning of the year, but like you always need that like refresher of like what came out like at the beginning of the year, especially like those first few months. That's like always a big thing. But I know I can tell you right now, Ratchet and Clank is on that list. Guilty Gear is on that list. I would also make the argument for Hitman 3. I think that's also could be put on there as well. One
to come out. Yeah.
But I'm trying to look now.
Let me ask a quick question. Since I'm reviewing Guilty Gear also, what do you like about it?
The thing about Guilty Gear that I think is great is that it feels very similar to Samurai Showdown, where fundamentals are really like the best part of the neutral game between both players. Again,
I guess it's like I played the last 3. And it's like, okay, they yanked out the instant kill and they added the wall thing, and that's about it.
No, like now they don't have an instant kill in Guilty Gear Strive, but they do have the wall.
Yeah, they yanked it out.
They have the wall transitions now, and they also kind of really fine tune a lot of the stuff. I forgot what it's called, but it's like this thing where you kind of slow down time when you're in the middle of a combo. It's kind of like an aerial raid from like Tatsunoko versus Capcom, but it allows you to continue combos and dealing more damage and stuff, on top of the bursts and stuff that they have as defense techniques. But overall, I think that the game looks great. It sounds great. Like Guilty Gear should. Like it's what you loved about Guilty Gear Zerd and those like iterations of it, but just a little bit better, just a little bit tweaked up. It looks very similar, but it just feels good to play as far as like a 2D fighting game that with that 3D motif to it. The one thing I will say that I do not like about Strive is that I don't like the online system as far as like the online lobbies.
Well, that's been the same one they've been using for the past 5 years, and it's always sucked then.
Well, yeah, that one's garbage, and I also don't like the fact that the story mode is that it's a watchable one. There's no battles in it.
Same one for the past 5 years. Like that's the thing.
But in previous Guilty Gears, you've been able to have like little matches here and there. It's kind of like Blaze Blue, what they've done.
I mean, this doesn't even have like an arcade. It has an arcade mode, but the arcade mode is like completely
generic. It's a standard arcade mode. But the thing is what I don't like about this story mode is that you don't get anything from actually watching it. You're not rewarded with anything, which is a damn shame, because they could give you money to buy stuff for like your avatar or to buy unlockable.
Yeah, they did that. I think they did that with like Zerd or Revelator.
But they don't do it now in this game, which is a damn shame.
Yeah. So that's my problem, and I'm trying to write the review, and I'm like, yo, it's the same game. It looks better, and I'll give them that, and it has like 2 more characters, but that's about it.
I mean, we're gonna get DLC with it too. Keep in mind that there's a fighters pass that's gonna have, I guess, like over the next couple months, they're gonna release like a few more fighters for it.
At least they're doing that. That's good.
I'm sure it'll be like three current or 3 already established characters and like 1 new one.
Like I'm looking now because like I'm looking through some of like the releases from like January through February. So January was what is it? Hitman 3. Like that is
Hitman 3 was the big one, yeah.
Put that onto that list. There's a couple other games I didn't play though, or at least ones that were like big, but that like I wouldn't really consider the best of the year thus far. Like Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection. Like that was one that I really wanted to play, but it wasn't that good. At least in my opinion, it was like way too hard. Crazy enough. Oh, Crash Bandicoot 4. That was the other one. Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. That's one I would include like that. So that'd probably be my 5.
We got the Monster Hunter Rise as well that was out there in February. So but no one apparently played it on this panel. So
no, I didn't get to it.
I'm excited more for Stories is coming out pretty soon. So I still got to play that demo here. But All right. I mean, I think in just talking about some of the games we've been playing, I think we already kind of probably have some of ours here. But Mark, why don't you go first? I think because you would probably have, I guess, more of an eclectic one.
My number 5 was Mass Effect Legendary. I still haven't finished it. I'm like halfway through 2, but they fixed 1 finally, and that's kind of good enough.
Yeah, I will say that, like, just because we pick games here, and I don't know if a lot of these that we have like chosen here are going to wind up being, we can do them at the end of the year because there's different criteria there, but definitely, like Mass Effect is something that it seems like everybody is. I have not heard anyone go, "Oh man, this is bad." Like, in fact, all I've heard is, this is how you do a collection. This is how you do something coming back. I mean, yeah, they probably could have tweaked more in 2 and 3, I guess, right? But at least they fixed 1, like you said.
Well, 2 and 3 played fine. Like 1's the one that really fell off. So, yeah, 2 and 3 are still fairly good.
Yeah, I mean, just go ahead and go through
my whole list
there. Yeah.
Number 4 is Nocturne. Because everyone should play it. Everyone should play it. Number 3 is Resident Evil Village. That might be higher. I just haven't gotten too deep into it. I just took out like the first one, the first boss, and that was it. Then I have other stuff to do. Number 2 is Returnal, and number 1 is Persona 5 Strikers.
All right, so Persona 5 Strikers, also one of those late February games.
Yeah.
There for Mark. Of course, I should note that, he reviewed 3 of the 5 games that are there, so that's cool too. We can note that as well. Jens, what is your 5?
I'm putting at number 5. Well, I feel like this is acceptable since Mark's putting Nocturne and Mass Effect, which are re-releases. Yeah. I feel comfortable putting Disco Elysium, the final cut, on here. It's because I thought the writing in that game is some of the most spectacular I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Tied really well into the gameplay. It was a great story, kind of existential elements to it. Excellent characterization all around. Beautiful setting. The world building, just absolutely first class. Just the amount of miscellaneous detail that you encounter at absolutely every turn in that world is astounding. And I feel it wins both on quantity and quality of content. But of course, is an old-timey. What would I liken it to most? Like, it's something like Planescape Torment.
Yeah.
It's
Infinity
like
Engine.
In the structure of an old RPG, but it's almost all dialogue. So it's like an adventure game with RPG mechanics instead of puzzles. So it's like it was made for me. It would be higher on this list if not for the fact that I don't like some of the voice acting that they've added, and the console
buggy.
Yeah, it's a little buggy, and the console controls are not great. It's definitely a game that, playing it on console, I did wish I had a mouse sometimes, especially when the pathfinding was not working great. So it has definitely a few caveats, but I think overall just an incredibly strong game. My number 4 is It Takes Two, which is just an all-around brilliant co-op game. There are so many different gameplay mechanics in it, and it's good at all of them. Like, pretty much every mini game that you encounter in this game, all of the puzzles, the platforming, the shooting, the kind of little WarioWare type or Mario Party style, palette cleansers in between. Like, all of it is brilliant and works brilliantly in co-op, and is their most polished and substantial game. So, I mean, I like Brothers, I liked A Way Out, but this is like above and beyond anything that that studio has done before. And number 3 at the moment, my top 3 is difficult. I would expect that might jump around still as I finish them. I don't know exactly yet where Ratchet is going to fall relative to Resident Evil Village and Persona 5 Strikers. But that's kind of my top 3. So I've got Ratchet and Clank at number 3 right now. Not my favorite game on PS5, but definitely the most impressive, technically, visually, from a production standpoint. Though Resident Evil Village is also way up there, and just a game that I love. Loved the setting. Thought the shooting was really good. It had lots of great set pieces. Lady Dimitrescu, obviously, a big standout character. Lots of stuff to love in Resident Evil Village. And then I also thought Persona 5 Strikers was fantastic. The best Musou game I've ever played. Great addition to Persona narratively, and just a great excuse to spend more time with those characters. So that's my list.
I'll go for Randy because I'm gonna have like games that people are probably gonna be like, "What? I've either never heard of them or I don't care." So, like, I have, what ends up happening a lot of times is, we don't get codes from everywhere. So either, if somebody doesn't decide to buy them for themselves, I'll take the hit and let somebody else review it, and sometimes have to go ahead and like just say, okay, I'm not going to sit there and buy this when somebody else has already reviewed. I'll buy it for them to let them do that, or, whatever. So, a lot of times, Mark or Randy or whoever will wind up playing all the big games. I play some of the smaller stuff to kind of give us more like well-rounded things. Plus, like there's a lot of these big games that I'm not a big fan of. So, plus what I do is I wait till the end of the year when all stuff's on sale. And then when you don't have to worry about writing about it, I can just play it and then we'll all get and talk about it at the end of the year. So my stuff is like a lot smaller things, games I've reviewed or games I am reviewing at the moment. Like I really like Cyber Shadow, which is like that first game that came out in January. I played quite a lot of it when that game. It's like Mega Man or that kind of thing, except it's hard. I would kind of equate it to like Ninja Gaiden. There's some stuff in there that like sometimes where I was just like, all right, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this, but I'm going to die like 3 or 4 times and figure it out. And I just really like the setting. It's the next game from Yacht Club Games, of course, making Shovel Knight. So they're going to make great stuff, and it's still on Game Pass. So if you want to go check it out, you definitely can. I loved Arrow Knight's Everyield. I reviewed that game, but also just that game it's short. You're not going to play it more than like once or twice. Hard mode is the best way to play that game. Insane mode, but the music is absolutely phenomenal and a standout reason to keep like going back to that game. And like you can listen to it outside of the game, which obviously that's not the game, but like I just love the look of it, and I love the just sound design. All of that was just, it's a great package done in an indie game that's like what, $12. Definitely worth checking out. Scarlet Nexus, I said I enjoyed the demo. I've been enjoying what I play. I know I'm gonna wind up really liking it. It's got anime Astral Chain with other things in it, so I'm enjoying a lot of Scarlet Nexus. And Chicory, A Colorful Tale is just, I think part of it is because I've been able to play it with my daughter, but it's also just a beautiful little game that has a great message, and just being able to like colorize that world while you're going and solving puzzles, and the way it changes consistently throughout. It doesn't just keep doing the same thing. I mean, for being like that next game from the Night in the Woods team, and just the music in this as well is great. Like there's just so much to love about that game that, if you haven't checked it out, or you kind of put it aside as just said, oh, this little indie game, like I definitely think that more people should be talking and enjoying that Chicory Colorful Tale. And of course, I have East 9 as my number 1 game because I didn't really pay much attention to the East series. I've kind of dabbled a little bit here and there. And then as a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, when I got done with East 9, I was like, what the hell? Why have I never played much of these games at all? Because it's right up that same alley of just getting to hack and slash and beat things. But what makes East 9, I think, for me, is just all the characters. The characters it was such a great just group of characters that all have a wonderful story with a great message that it wants to send. And just look, it's an old game. It technically came out in 2019 in Japan. It didn't come out until this year. It's later going to come out to Switch and PC. There's a demo out there on the other systems as well. But like seriously, I just really enjoyed it, and it was something that I didn't know if I was going to, and it like surprised me from being able to spend so much time with it. So yeah, Randy. Take it away,
for me, my honorable mention first is Cyber Shadow. I have a good feeling it'll end up in my Game of the Year top 10 once I play more of it. I played like the first 2 levels when it first came out and absolutely loved it, but then I got thrown a couple reviews that month that I had to get to, and I just haven't been able to get back because, like you said, it's very hard. So it's one of those I can't just come and go on it. I have to like really focus on that skill level and get into it. But right now, my number 5. And it was funny, you talked about Mark having all these reviews. Everyone in my top 5, I have reviews up on W2M.
Yeah, that's right.
So go right ahead. But Little Nightmares 2 right now is my number 5. I didn't like it as much as the first one. I didn't like the companion aspect of it. I thought it got in the way more than helped anything. But it's still a very weird, interesting world that they have created there, and it was still pretty fun. So it's my 5 right now. I'm with Jens. I absolutely loved It Takes Two. I played it with my girlfriend. The funny thing is, she's not a huge gamer. She loves the Fallout series, and that's all she'll ever play is anything that says Fallout. But she owns 2 platinums in her life, and it's A Way Out, and now It Takes Two. So we had a lot of fun with it, and she loved this one way more than A Way Out, and I'm right there with her. Like Jens said, there's just so many different things that they throw at you in this game that you're never going to get bored. If you don't like one gameplay style, wait 10 minutes, it'll completely change. My number 3 is Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade Intermission. It was just a 6-hour experience that I absolutely loved. They do some things with the combat that I hope continues on in the series. The combo moves that you can do. However, Jakejames, I know you said you've played it. I have a question for you.
Sure.
When you synchronize with your buddy,
with Sona and Yuffie,
did you have the deal where when I synchronized with him and then just started attacking, did your 2 characters just jump like bunnies?
In some instances, it depends on what you're doing though. Like if you're just doing melee attacks,
like
that,
when you just do melee attacks, they just jump around and freak out. And then I didn't want to do anything else because I just was laughing too hard. But no, but
the only downside to that is that you lose out your ATB meter when they're synced up together.
So but I mean, the way that you can combine those and do the synchronized moves that actually are supposed to work, other than me just goofing around on enemies, it works really well. And I hope that they combine some of that element into the other games. Obviously, big Resident Evil fan on the show. Resident Evil Village hit all the marks for me. Absolutely loved it. Possibly my favorite of the 3D newer Resident Evil games. Possibly more than 4, but I mean, anybody that's watched this show before knows I'm not the biggest fan of 4, so that's not saying too much. But absolutely love the story. I'm very curious where they go with it with 9, where they kind of finish up this trilogy. So what Resident Evil always does, they kind of set their games up into little trilogies and wrap up stories that way. Hopefully it wraps up more like 3/Code Veronica and less like 6, but we will see. And then for me, it was really easy for me. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is going to be very tough to beat as far as my game of the year so far. But there's still a lot of games coming out, and Sony still hasn't really said what they're doing this fall, so you never know. But right now, Ratchet & Clank's my number 1.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we can clearly see what some of the front runners are going to be right now, and with all these delays that have been happening, and it's going to be interesting to see if we get even more as the time goes on. We don't know what's going to happen this holiday. Some of those big games could get pushed in 2022, and a lot of these games that we're talking about right now could be the ones that we have to wind up pushing by default into some of the higher spots we come to the end of the year. So interesting as far as that goes. And Randy, I know you've been playing that Mario Golf. Did you?
I was trying to avoid it.
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed. I love the Mario Golf series, and me and a buddy of mine have just been counting down the days to be able to play this game, and it's so bare bones, and it is all locked behind the adventure mode, which I was excited for, and I'm now 2 sections into the adventure mode, and it is so bare bones, and it's so disappointing. This should be so much more. And then watching the completionist review or gameplay of the GameCube one, the Toadstool Tour or whatever, which had way too much stuff. It's just so disappointing. Speed golf is really fun when you're playing with friends. Actually, the game is very enjoyable. We've already played a couple nights together and had the epic moment of beating him by 1 second with a clutch eagle putt on the 18th, which I have decided no matter how much I'm disliking this game, it's getting a 10 out of 10 when I review it, just for that moment. But no, I know that they have said that they're going to come out with extra content and stuff, which is so not Nintendo. But it just feels like instead of going, okay, here's this great game, and now we're going to add content to it, it's like, we made a great game, but everyone loves this DLC stuff. So let's pull content out of our game, and then we'll just give it to you later. It's just, you start with 2 courses, and that's it. That's all you have when you first start this game. It's just, I don't know. I'm very disappointed with the decisions that they've made here.
It's weird that they make you play the adventure mode knowing that this game is really more for the multiplayer aspect.
It is. The only time I've had a blast is when me and my buddy or me and my son are playing and goofing around and yelling at each other. And sadly, it's locked behind a mode that they just completely swung and missed with, which is, I don't know. I got to get through it so I can get the review in, but I so do not look forward to turning that game on, which I was counting down the days. Like Jens and I have talked for months about how big June was because you get Ratchet and Clank and Final Fantasy VII, and he was very excited for Dark Alliance, and that didn't work for him. I was excited for Mario Golf, and that didn't work for me. So, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
We're still both playing it out of spite. See, that's the thing where it's like I was so looking forward to it that I'm gonna finish it, come hell or high water. But I don't know with Mario Golf. So, what is it that makes it? Did they strip out features?
There's just not a lot there. Like, I mean,
but relative to the previous versions,
it's very much based around the speed golf aspect of hit your ball and then run towards it.
Well, don't they have that battle golf too?
Battle golf is basically the same thing, but there's now multiple holes to go to. Whoever sinks 3 holes first wins. So then it becomes a little bit of a strategy because once one person goes in, that hole gets closed off. So, but it's that same aspect of running around crazy. They also introduce in the story mode a deal where the course has weather damage, so you can't play it normally. So now you have to go from this tee box to this hole way over here, and basically it's you only have 20 strokes and you have to get it into these 3 different holes, which you can do it in any order you want, but that you just have to get there. So they come up with interesting ways. It's just so far all the courses I've unlocked are all samey. What I loved about the old Mario Golf games is being able to play at Bowser's Castle, or there'd be one associated with Yoshi, or like there'd be crazy elements going on. And I haven't got there yet. Again, I only have 3 of the courses unlocked. So I mean, we will see if there's crazier ones down the line. But right now it's just, I don't know. It's Mario Tennis, which is really, really not what I was hoping for.
You a fan of the Mario sports games at all, Jake? Or
I mean, not too much. I mean, I've played them with friends here and there, but it's kind of whatever. Again, I'm more of a Mario platformer guy. More traditional Mario fan.
Yeah. Where did you play the Mario Bowser's Fury?
Bowser's Fury, no, because I played Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U. but I never got into the re-release for that one again because I played that already. Maybe down the line, but there's just so much to play right now.
Oh, definitely. I mean, so is there, like, as we're looking ahead now to like that rest of what's left in the year, like, is there anything that you're like really excited for?
I mean, stuff that they announced at E3, Metroid Dread, like day one. That's the day one, hands down, because that's a sequel to Metroid Fusion, which is like one of my favorite Metroid games. Period. Also, was it No More Heroes 3? Because No More Heroes 3 comes out in August. I'm looking forward to that as well. I'm also probably going to pick up Skyward Sword HD more than likely. You know, a lot of Nintendo Switch stuff, because most of the PlayStation things that I was interested in have either already come out or they're way further out for me, at least at the current moment. Because again, like I think it was Horizon Forbidden West, and I'm pretty sure also God of War got pushed back, or at least been pushed back.
Well, we still don't know about the Horizon, but I really have a feeling it's going to get pushed.
Something like that. You know, a lot of those games that I'm going to want to play on PlayStation 5, it's just, you know, they're way further out.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what actually makes it out. I mean, so like, yeah, let's go around, since we talked about what has been, like, what are those games, Mark, for you that you're like looking forward to for that?
Yeah, Metroid, Axiom Verge 2, you know, not Persona, but Shin Megami Tensei 5. Yeah. Something me and Jens can find a special edition of that.
American Hero.
Yeah, I told Jens about that one. He's way into it now.
Exciting trailer.
So I mean, not too much like known stuff, but we'll see. I mean, I'll probably get Far Cry 6 one way or the other.
Well, that's another one.
Yeah, that Shin Megami Tensei 5 special edition actually has a soundtrack album, so I need to find one. They've just made it basically impossible.
I mean, if necessary, I'll be hunting around the day of till the GameStops, or you know, any store that has it, waiting for it to open.
I'm concerned.
What's go ahead, sorry.
No, go on, because you're going to ask about American Hero.
Well, yeah, I mean, since you're already talking about it,
I'll let Jens take that one because he's into it now.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's an old like FMV game from the 90s, made for the Atari Jaguar that never came out at the time, but now I guess they've remastered and they're re-releasing it. And it stars the guy from That's My Bush, which is a show I quite enjoyed back in the day, Timothy Bottoms, and looks quite funny in a not too, like, it's not completely postmodern the way that now when you look at, like, say, Twisted Pixels FMV games or something, where you're saying like, okay, Loco Cycle, it's fine. It doesn't actually feel like something from the period that you're spoofing, and it's too wacky in, you know, whatever way that you're going with it. And it's like, no, yes, it's comedic, but the fact that it's actually something from the 90s commenting on action movies of the 80s, I think makes it quite interesting. It feels like a legitimate thing, a legitimate find, rather than something trying to evoke that old style of FMV. So I'm very excited that we're unearthing another, you know, classic from that era, or potential classic anyway.
I saw the trailer and I immediately messaged Jins and I'm like, this is your game.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like when, you know, Alamo Drafthouse unearthed The Visitor or something, right? You see the trailer and you're just like, yes, I need this in my life right now. How did this exist and I didn't know about it? It's amazing.
If only there was a Sewer Shark 2.
I would do it with Randy for the show, but I just know Randy's just going to be upset.
I've been upset a lot lately. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the hot weather.
Let me tell you, you dodged the bullet.
You.
You can complain about Asura's Wrath as much as you want, but you dodged a real bullet not playing Baldur's Gate. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance.
Sounds like I could have used the naps, though.
Yeah.
Randy, do you have anything that you're like?
I'm with everyone else. Give me Metroid Dread right now. I'm ready to go. Kena Bridge of Spirits, I've been excited for since they showed that. I'm excited to get my hands on that. And as somebody that on his own YouTube channel did a full Mario Party run with 3 of my buddies where we played 50 turn games in every Mario Party. Well, Mario Party 1 through 9, because Mario Party 10 screwed that whole system up. And then Super Mario Party only allowed you to have 30 turns. So we were way into Mario Party. So give me Mario Party Superstars. I'm down for it, even though it's just the port of the 3DS game. It's just more Mario Party. I'm ready for it.
Oh, is it just a port?
Yeah. Well, it's a port with 64 Nintendo 64
stages.
Boards.
Classic levels,
and then
right?
It has 100 different mini games.
And they're also going to have online play.
Yeah, so the online play aspect, actually, especially if
deal.
Randy, if you want to do Mario Party for the show, we can do a Mario Party episode.
It'd be great to break down that storyline.
Exactly. The story of whatever horrible thing happens in a Mario Party game.
Exactly. Jens, is there
also Kina, Bridge of Spirits. I keep wanting to call it Bridge of Spies, but that's a movie.
Yeah, I'm also on the board of Kina Bridge of Spirits. Kina Bridge of Spirits and Psychonauts 2 come out the same week. So that's gonna be fun.
Wow.
Of having 2 games that I really want to play come out after each other, and then No More Heroes 3 comes out 2 days later. So
hey, try to have them on the same damn day.
I just really hope that Psychonauts can
yeah
recapture the magic.
Yeah, I mean it. Like at least for the next 2 months, there's going to be some good stuff. Like I'm excited for Neo World Ends with You, which I still need to check out the demo.
The demo, yeah.
12 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm excited about as well. So like there's some. I mean, Kina is probably like the biggest one, but there's quite a lot, I think. And of course, at the end of the year, Advance Wars Remake is. I can't wait for that. I'm super excited for that to come back.
A lot of Yakuza fans on here. You guys excited for Lost Judgment?
I mean, I thought Judgment, it was okay. I mean, I think that what's weird is that world of Yakuza lacks a lot of the charm when it's taken too seriously, like that. I love that humor and that cheekiness sometimes from the Yakuza series. Mm-hmm. So when you kind of have less of that in something like Judgment, it's not as appealing to me. But I'll check it out eventually, more than likely.
I mean, I'll play it. I really enjoyed the story for Judgment, and I like the characters, so I'm up for more for sure. But what brought it down for me a little bit is I didn't think the investigative gameplay was particularly good.
No, that was pretty bad. Like
it just felt
drone work.
It felt like stuff drafted, like kind of awkwardly drafted onto the existing systems of Yakuza that weren't really built for doing that kind of thing. So I just hope and there wasn't enough courtroom drama for my taste. The courtroom drama was very short.
There was almost none. I mean,
I was really hoping
in the Law and Order.
what I was expecting is something like kind of what the Perry Mason reboot did, where you spend your 8 hours just building up to the one big court case, and that's your big finale. And it seemed like Judgment was going that way, and then it kind of swerves on us a little bit. So there's some good revelations in it. There's also some good humor in it. I don't think it's completely humorless.
The courtroom scenes were all like passive. Like you didn't do anything. You just a big exposition dump.
So there's no
it's not like
objections.
We want like Ace Attorney or kind of like a lighter form
exactly.
of that.
Yeah, it doesn't do the Ace Attorney thing. Which the great Ace Attorney Chronicles, obviously one of my most anticipated games.
Yeah, there's that too. Guardians of the Galaxy for
yeah, that's right. That comes out soon.
Yeah, well, that comes way back, way out in October. But like,
I've got to wait for reviews of that one.
I don't.
I think it's gonna be good.
If people say it's good, I will give it a chance.
I hope it's good.
Yeah, I mean the two that I think are interesting are the two Bethesda PS5 exclusives. Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop. I mean, we've seen a lot of Deathloop, but like all we've seen is Deathloop gets delayed, and then Ghostwire Tokyo is like just out there and not talked about. And obviously, that has to do somewhat with the it's PS5 exclusive, so Xbox doesn't have a lot to really want to promote about it. But like considering everything behind both those games, you'd think that there'd be a lot more hype for it, but it seems like it's just kind of like, well, are they going to come out? Are they not? Interesting that I think Ghost of Tsushima doesn't even have a release date right now, so we'll definitely see on that for sure. I mean, nobody for the Diablo 2.
I'll play
it.
I think we're all of that age. That
yeah,
all right.
It's just a given. Wrong. I love Diablo, but it's like, man, there's way too much to play right now.
Yeah, I mean that it comes out in a time where I think it's in a good spot where you don't have like a ton coming out, so it'll get its moment in the sun.
2 is huge nostalgia bait for me. I think in terms of hours put in, number 1 game as far as how much I played it in college. So it'll be interesting to revisit. And I remember it just being mechanically much more sound than I don't know. I even in its now much better final console version form, Diablo 3 never recaptured the magic of Diablo 2 to me. So this will probably be an opportunity to see if are my memories of Diablo 2 just inflated, or is it really as brilliant as I remember it being, you know?
Yeah, I know Marc is pumped for that WRC 10 to come out. That's but all right. Thank you to Jake for coming on with us.
Appreciate it.
Really appreciate you just answering there and coming on. It was great to have you, man.
Appreciate it.
Come back anytime. You just you killed it here, as I'm sure you always do. I mean, anything you want to promote that you're doing soon or anything?
Yeah. Again, like I was saying earlier, literally the day that we're recording this today is my birthday. So show some love. Go check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/gamerswithgains channel. Subscribe to it. I'm trying to get past 10K subs, but I still got a long way to go. But I do, again, new videos every single week, highly edited, highly produced reviews, all types of content that's on there. I also have a Patreon. I have a really cheap Patreon where I put exclusive videos and exclusive content on there as well, including podcasts, interviews, all types of different stuff as well. And I try to keep it cheap so that way everybody could just check out all this, content and enjoy it overall. And also follow me on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/gamerswithgains. And I'm going to be doing a stream tomorrow, or today, technically, for my birthday. I'm going to be playing Kazuya and Smash, once he gets live and, it's put out there for everybody. I'm going to be checking it out and playing games online with everybody. So, yeah. And follow me on Twitter @JakeJamesLugo. Just say hi. Come check out all the stuff that I'm sharing on there. So I'm always there every single day.
For sure, man. Definitely someone you should go follow on the Twitch and the Twitter. Guys, what is the topic of the movies? This is the movies week, right?
Yeah. Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within.
Oh,
it's warm.
It's warm.
That's the last goddamn line of that movie.
Oh yeah, okay. I haven't seen it since the movie theater, so I don't remember very much. I just remember that they said Gaia.
I didn't say
Gaia.
What was warm.
Gaia was the thing. Everything was about Gaia in the movie.
And I remember I really wanted that machine that they use in the beginning that you can record your dreams with and watch them like a movie.
Oh, the thing from Strange Days.
Yeah, but Strange Days records your memories. That's actual that's like Tech in Tech War. It's in fact the same as Tech War.
I haven't seen that in years too. Holy crap! That's the action pack for me.
I remember being so hyped for that movie that Final Fantasy was gonna have a movie, and then I was kind of like,
and then it almost broke square.
It almost broke square. She had to go and everything. It changed Square as well. It changed Square a lot. So there's that. What is the next game?
Asura's Wrath.
Okay.
That game is hype.
I can't wait for Randy to. That's right. Asura's Wrath.
Randy's on episode 2 and he's like, "This blood sucks, dude." It's like, what are you talking about? The beginning of that battle.
You just gotta roll with it.
It's so strong.
It's just pure anime hype. That's all it is.
I haven't played it yet. I'm 2 episodes in. I'm like, what do I do? I'm watching a show right now. That's what I'm doing.
There'll be more gameplay.
I hope so. It is what it is. It's so far so good, but it's like I started chapter 2 and I hit the button 4 times and then it went end of episode and it gave me a B. I went, what did you want me to do? You want me to watch your cutscene a little bit closer? What the hell?
Yeah, real talk.
Get those asteroids better.
Well, at least between that and Loom, it looks like Randy has not.
Yeah, he has to get me back. I picked some games that he absolutely hated. Now he's picking games that I don't exactly hate, but I'm not into as much. It's okay. That's what I love about our show is we have completely different tastes, and then we get to pick what the other one has to suffer through every couple of weeks. It's great.
Well, we just did Gone Home. We both liked it, so
good game.
That's true. Gone Home is a good game. Yeah, definitely. People, people give walking simulators too much crap. Gone Home is good.
It's a good genre.
I've been killing it with my picks lately. Jens has been loving me. We got Gone Home, Resident Evil Village you liked, The Pedestrian he really liked. We've been doing great.
Oh, hey, at least that's a good thing.
I mean, there was Dark Cloud before that, which I thought that was the end of the show. I didn't think Jens was ever going to talk to me again.
Yeah,
Jens hated it. Jens hated it.
That's
I am durability.
Well,
and getting thirsty and like the whole keeping up with water and repairing items and all the.
If I'm thirsty, I'm out of my water. I gotta go.
Yeah, that's true. Dark Cloud's realistic in that way.
It definitely was getting prepared for all that.
You need to get another drink.
So Randy talked about he's reviewing the Mario Golf. He already had the 2 reviews out there. Mark's doing that Guilty Gear Strive. He's doing Interlilies. I think it's Quiet is Keep. That has a weird subtitle, which apparently just hit Series X right now. So you can go check that out. It hits PS5 next week. So it's a 2D Metroidvania that has some Dark Souls and like a dark tone. So definitely worth checking out for people. I got the Master Collection doing Chicory as well, and I'm technically doing the original Final Fantasy Intergrade and Game Builder Garage, which I'm still enjoying. Game Builder Garage is just one of those things like you can slowly go through. I don't have to feel like I'm killing myself. It's one of those I can slowly just keep building this thing that they want me to build. It's just, man, there's so many. I feel like when you go through those lessons, they just really hammer. Like, hey, you gotta do this. Hey, you gotta do this, and it's very slow paced. I'm just like, okay, come on with it. Come on with it. Thank you, Nintendo. I know that you're really trying to teach people probably younger than me how to program, but go a little bit quicker sometimes. But yeah, a lot coming down the pike, and man, so many. I feel like we have. It's really cool that we've had all these demos to check out as well, with all these between the E3 games and then Monster Hunter and Neo N12 was doing them with you.
I wish Microsoft had given us more time with their demos, with all their indie games.
It's weird that I don't know if Steam, you keep those and you can actually play them.
You do.
Through them. You do? Okay. The Microsoft ones, they don't erase them. You can't download them off the store anymore, except for a few of them.
You just can't boot them.
Yeah, you can't boot them, which, what's the point? You might as well just take them away off the system entirely. That's weird. They're demos. You'd think that they would just keep them there. I don't know what hurts the company. I don't know. That's always weird to me that you're going to introduce this thing, but you have a limited amount of time with a demo, and then the game may not come out for another 6 months, but you can't keep playing this thing.
I mean, with Origins, it makes sense, right? They want us to forget this version of Origins for a while, and then they're going to bring back the beta, and it'll be more polished than it was.
Yeah,
if it's anything like Neo.
Demos. Honestly, I was never a fan of time demos or time frame type of demos. I always just thought it was a little petty.
Yeah. Oh no, the Resident Evil ones are weird this year.
Oh yeah, those were nuts.
Locking them to one console and all that, and then time gating them to a certain really.
Yeah, I don't know what the Capcom was thinking with that. That was weird.
But that is what it is. So again, I appreciate everybody coming on, for Randy, for Jens, for Mark, for Jake. Follow everyone on the Twitters at Randy Isbell, at Aperture Silence, at Humanity Plague, at Jakejames Lugo, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm at WTM Sean. Go check us all out. We all doing stuff. And go ring that bell, subscribe on the YouTube. It'll be uploaded. I'm not doing live on YouTube, but you can, when it's uploaded, you can go hit subscribe. Where the Radless team is doing video stuff all the time now. So any entertainment thing, movies, they're doing all the Fast saga, getting ready for that Fast 9 review that they're going to be doing next week. So check all that stuff out. And of course, the Kickoff and Black Irish, all those other things. And of course, these guys here on Chapter Select. So, make sure you subscribe to that WT Network. You get everything that we do, whether it's on the YouTube channel or all those other podcasts, places. We're pretty much everywhere. If we're not on something, let me know. I did not know that there are other. I mean, it seems like I knew one of these podcast places springs up out of nowhere, and it just makes waves all of a sudden. So yeah, just let us know. But until next week, see you later, everybody.